All right, one and all, welcome back to the Midweek Masters. We're here in Midweek Master number 20, Vortex vs MSN in the round of 16. And this is a weird matchup. Abbasids versus Delhi is one that, on paper, has not looked good for Abbasids for quite a while, I feel like. You have to keep in mind, Abbasids are probably the civ that likes to go 2TC the most out of any in Age of Empires 4. And he's playing against the civ that doesn't allow you to ever go 2TC. In fact, it's hard to think of examples where people go 2TC against Delhi and don't just immediately lose the game. I'll have to see if he's able to do something. One thought we did have, we actually saw it happen from Jean Do. It was almost a whoopsie, I guess I'll do this instead moment. But there are shoreline fish on the south side of the map. Only the south side, but there is actually a nice amount of food here. 3,000 rather in total. Could be a play for Abbasids to do considering how cheap their dock is, but we're not seeing him move out. So instead, I'm thinking MSN might be trying to roleplay as French here. Not the civ, but the nationality, because he seems to be a bit de fromage, if you get my drift, guys. He's a cheesy boy. He loves the Abbasids. It's pretty much his go-to pick. At this point, MSN is just grinding out the Abbasids in the hopes that one time in 2025, they'll spin back into the meta. And when they do, that'll be the moment he strikes. Him and Dragovan are kind of having that approach to Age of Empires 4 so far. So, there's no way he tries trade here. No, because you've got the camel traders, but to do that against Ghazi, mathematically, it's kind of crazy if you think about it, because Ghazi hit for 12 damage, you mitigate 2.4, and then you get armor for free. So you put that damage down to 6.4. But like, you're still very glass cannon-y. I don't know. I don't think you can do anything too crazy here. Yeah, it just has to be military wing. Okay, so this is like normie mode. I'm starting to feel like MSN kind of tossed away a pick at the start of the draft. For those that haven't seen the drafts, there they are. I think the thought process here is like Delhi is a very big threat to some of his remainers, especially like Rus. I can see that working really well for Delhi, especially now with the Pro Scouts nerf. So considering we've got Lipany and Dry Arabia as the other two maps. Actually, no. Oh my god. No, it's even simpler than that, guys. Why am I overthinking it? Vortex just tricked him. You've got Delhi, there's Dry Arabia, there's Lipany. I don't think MSN's first thought would have been it's going to be Delhi on Relic River. I mean, in fairness, when you look at the map, it makes sense for them. But usually Lipany just feels a lot better. Because there is a negative of playing this Civ Delhi on Relic River. You can see it right here. There really isn't that much in the way of berries. You have your initial stack and then two more, one being the 8 stack. Whereas, for example, Lipany just adds in additional stacks over standard maps. Speaking of food, good start for MSN. Double berry civ, so both of them can just stay out forever, essentially. But we are seeing a 17 to 11 divide. I wonder, is this going to be the melee wing into 2TC delayed? Can you really ever do that against Delhi? We just opened this cast by saying it feels like a death sentence. And I stand by that statement. I think the one player who had a few games last year with this matchup with 2TC where I was like, damn, that can kind of maybe work, was actually Voldemar. Voldemar had some very intriguing builds. But no surprise there. I consider Abbasids to be Voldemar's. Take out complete melee wing units now on the way. So what do you strike here? The argument behind this opening play is like technically you force your opponent into archers because the logic is you need to build 3 archers to counter the military wing play. We've seen some players just trying to brute force Ghazi. I'm expecting Vortex like to go archers here, and that's meant to be an advantage. Yeah, and there you go. The logic here is anytime Delhi can go Ghazi, they're ahead. If you can force them onto archers, that's when you actually can do things like going for the 2TC. Because the thought process then is they're going to be playing more defensive because they don't have the mobility to get them out of bad positions. He's going to arrive. And he'll be able to achieve a little bit of harass here because the archers aren't ready yet. Love this peel as well, just sends the spin around the backside. And that's going to be vexing. Archers not completely counted out by the Scholar's heal, but enough that it's going to make it difficult. But it looks like Vortex is going to give over a little bit of space. So, harassment achieved. Guys, behind this, MSN is not going for the 2TC. No, we have the 1-1-1 build. You go into stables, remember, because when you play military wing, you've already ticked 2 corners of the triangle. And it's going to be Archer follow-up with the Horseman. Wait, really? Okay, that's kind of different. Maybe smart because it's off the cuff. I feel like most people in this situation would be thinking Archer into Spears because Ghazi. But you can, with the archery range, add in a Camel Archer eventually, so your Horsemen are better than Ghazi. And MSN does have a reputation for it. This guy loves Horsemen more than most players that I've met. Like, he is fervently obsessed with them. I think he's intentionally hiding as well. Unfortunately, wait, no. He thought he was being subtle about it. The secondary stable behind was intentional as well to try and hide the full play. The Vortex saw it all. Oh, that's brutal. So that means Vortex is going to go full infantry. Yeah. This is the importance of scouting. Archer Mass is going to arrive and at least be able to threaten Vortex a little here. Which is important. Like, technically, MSN could still win this if Vortex falls behind on Archer count. It can just become that simple. So for Vortex, it's just about having just enough Spearmen that you're able to defend yourself, but then blobbing Archers. The tricky part right now is, like, mathematically, Vortex isn't getting any edge. You know, he's getting some techs for free when they're there, but there we go. That's the thing that's missing. When he has Blacksmith, then all of a sudden you can start to inject extra value as the Deli. Meanwhile, if MSN wants to mirror that, he's going to pay the full price. Right now, he doesn't seem that interested in mirroring that detail. He does also have Pro Scouts in the way, which is going to be important to kind of keep him contained in his base. I'm being happy with that anyway. Interesting game. Am I delusional, or is anyone else kind of sitting here feeling like MSN's kind of making you believe? Like, not to a crazy degree of, oh yeah, GG. But usually when I watch this matchup, it feels hopeless. This doesn't look hopeless right now. Horseman count is getting pretty good. Definitely would be great if he could just rear around the backside, block the wood, because then your opponent can't scale archers at all. But I think MSN kind of wants him to scale archers because of the horseman play. So instead, he's being intentional on the food to try and limit the ability to switch into Ghazi or Spears. And there's the Ghazi switch as well. Vortex going for the 1-1-1. Well, I say 1-1-1, but when you play as this Civ, it can easily end up feeling like a 2-2-2 because of the garrison effect. And love this. Vortex, anytime he feels like he needs to get a different unit type, look at what he does. He drops the Scholar inside. This is the power of the Belly. The early game is so hard to keep up with because of how aggressively they switch unit type. The Scholar pull is going to be difficult here for MSN, I think. And yeah, oh, dude, I feel so bad for him because like the idea was good, but the Blacksmith timing was not. It's 35 seconds out for Archers to get Stilled Arrow. MSN does not have Undermesh even queued up, which means diving with a Horseman is going to hurt him on a TC. He's starting to back up as well. Surely you can't be getting hesitant at this stage. I mean, he has got the Golden Age, so that does kind of impact the weighing of like who's ahead economically. Theoretically, he should remain ahead economically, as long as he stops a cap on the sacred sites. But unfortunately for him, Vortex is now sneaking out of the base. Oh, that's cool. So it might be that he splits for 2 sacred sites, but this could also simply be because he thinks MSN's going to camp a unit on each sacred site. This way, if the unit turns up, he can just kind of come here. Doesn't help capture, mind you. Now it's starting to look like it was actually a misclick. Nice down the way as well. This is actually good. If MSN can delay until they've got both Blacksmith, great. But has he got that type of time here? Debatable. Steel Arrow is definitely hurting, and now he's prioritizing Undermesh. I actually don't think MSN was expecting Ghazi here. No, it feels like this has caught him off guard. Otherwise, you'd think Steel Arrow first, but here we go. The Flood of Horsemen. Is this going to be enough to break him? It looks like it. Vortex bit off more than he can chew. The Rohirrim Riders are in. And MSN, in an unexpected way, may have just dismantled the deli. Oh, the My Little Pony boy, the man who's known for picking Abbasids Ayyubids, but someone we've seen time and time again, MSN against top players, loves his ponies. That score tells no lies. Your eyeballs should be glued to the screen right now because Vortex is on the ropes facing elimination in the round of 16 up against Msn.dk. We head into Dry Arabia to test his mettle in a good old classico here. MSN with the Rus, Vortex with the French. Kind of crazy the way the series began because we talked about the fact that the Delhi pick, it felt as if it was a free win. It has always seemed to play that way, Abbasids versus Delhi, but MSN has now woken Vortex up to the reality check here. He's not to be trifled with. Rus French, I wonder, do we still see pro scouts? I think most likely Rus are going to be leaning pro scouts, but French maybe not so much. Remember, French was probably to this day the best civ at playing pocket economies because of the implied control. They can get away with going out onto here and here, which are pocket economies, because they have French Knights. And French Knights are the kings of gank and spanks at Field Age. I can't think of a single unit that does a better job on rotations, attacking, fighting directly, like all of it. You know, you can talk about situations where Magadai will be more viable for raiding. Great. But French Knights do it all. The funny part about French Knights is they feel like they're a jack of all trades, but also a master of some. Which is not really how that saying usually goes. Oh man, what a cool start to the day. MSN, yeah, so he did walk out onto the hunter cabin. This has been popular for a while. You basically walk one or two sheep over the hunter cabin to keep the villagers here. We've even seen players kind of evolve this into deeper states, where, for example, if you need to guard your gold, you could build a mill over there, build an outpost, and defend it against an outpost rush. Cavalry is going to be the choice. So no shenanigans around Chamber of Commerce, even though it would have been a pretty good spawn for it. And it's going to be Gold Gate. Yeah, not really. I don't want to say not much has changed with Rus. Obviously the timings, especially pro scouts, but at the core, I don't know if some people were worried about us maybe getting back to Kremlins. I didn't foresee that being likely to happen. The Kremlin is... I think the Kremlin is probably in need of a full rework, now that I think about it. And I think that's okay. I genuinely, at this point, and I don't know if I'm alone in this, I'd rather they take all the defensive feudal age landmarks and completely redevelop them. Turn them into something else, militarily focused. Because defensive landmarks, you're already playing a very defensive RTS. You don't need that extra layer of the cake. It just makes the game unplayable for one side. At least until the mid-game. So, MSN. I don't think this is pro scouts. He went double scout, not triple or quadruple. Cheap pull overall is going to favor him. Looks like we've got 15-7. Wow. But, you know, here's a bigger wow. Here's a thump to the skull for you. Vortex, brother of Lucifron. Lucifron, a man who so far every single series that he's got French in midweek muster has gone pro scouts. Could someone point to the macro here and explain what this looks like to me? Because we might actually have pro scouts coming in for Vortex. I like how a lot of people are just thinking, pro scouts, not really worth it all the time. And then you've just got Vortex and Lucifron still always doing it. But it fits that idea of the implied aggression, is that technically French should be the bully. So technically, MSN should stay at home and cry to mummy and daddy. I think he realizes what's happened here, though. He's clicked on the gold. He's seen the amount being taken. He realizes that 5 people on gold, you know. Yes, you can talk about night scaling, but this early on, that is 25% of your economy. It feels a little bit too high. So he's going to be prepping the double stables. Okay. This is usually tricky to do because French Knights are superior. But if your opponent's sidestepping into pro scouts alone even with the discount, that's already one less knight. And then, of course, you're going to want to add in extra scouts, probably 4 in total. So that actually puts you behind by 2 knights. That's a big deal, actually, guys. There's a reason why when we watch French versus Jean, for example, 1 knight can genuinely break that matchup. Because it's the seep over effect. Like, one can chase Jean, or they could pile on Jean more easily. Similar here, you know, if you have 1 knight edge, obviously 1v2 is always going to be bad. It also means your opponent can split off more easily, so, you know, he gets up to the 3 knight threshold quicker, and if he has the micro skills, the APM, then the kiddo can easily hit you from multiple angles. Now, keep in mind, one of the trade-offs here with what MSN is doing is he is going to be divvying up the roles between attacker and defender. So some of his knights are going to have to attack onto the scouts, others are going to have to defend against the potential raids from Vortex. This has me very intrigued, actually, from a draft POV also. Because if we do get a game 3...
Now you're my shit.
What do they have on the picks left? We can have a look here. Yo, what is up? Lucifron. Thank you very much. Come to watch his bro play. Well, might be a weird one because he's up against the ropes right now. I hope you had a good stream, my friend. Shout out to Lucifron. He'll be playing his series against Louis MT tomorrow at, I think, around this time or an hour later, which we'll cover. Yeah, this has some interesting kind of thoughts as well, because we were about to say we were going to look at the draft. We can do that while we've got a second. So remaining picks, it's going to be Chinese or Byzantines versus Mongols or Ayyubids. Did MSN get out-drafted? I mean, at this point, I don't doubt the man. He just beat Delhi with Abbasids in 10 minutes. So, got to put some respect, got to put some cadence in the name. But I am also a little bit skeptical about that remaining pick, because Chinese or Byzantines are pretty phenomenal on Lipany. One of the most comfortable maps. Ayyubids or Mongols, I think you have to go Ayyu. Knowing that, it means that Vortex could do something crazy, just like playing Byzantines against Ayyu, because on Lipany, you get the trade post spawning close to your base. So, like, if you roll Sipahi, you just roll an instant win. Templars got banned. Yes, sir. House of Lancaster being an obvious ban. But the weird thing about the bans is that Knights Templar got left so long and then didn't get picked. HRE, by the way, is always going to be a higher ban than KT. It's not that Templars are bad, per se. It's just HRE, I think they are bordering still number 1. House of Lancaster might have taken that throne for the moment, but I expect a nerf to be around the corner to Manners again, and after that, H3 is back on top. So anyway, right now, this is looking really good for MSN. 3 knights ahead. He has forced the outpost drop here. But keep in mind, the issue for MSN is going to be over time, Vortex is going to build an economy lead. That's just the nature of playing French. Surprising, actually, isn't already ahead. Did he do a double scout opener? I didn't notice. I don't think he did. If he'd done a double scout opener, then that's a catastrophe, because he only got like 5 sheep compared to 13. Might have been some skip villager production. What makes H3 numero 1? Superior economy. Great plays to sidestep into Castle Age with huge upsides. Great scalability still in Imperial Age despite the nerf to Palace of Swabia. Marching drills on infantry comps. Nobody has a better infantry comp. Even Lancaster. The only reason Lancaster can feel better is because the manners. But like, this is someone I was highlighting the other day. Is if you actually look at Yeoman, and people who complain about Yeoman saying they're OP, like, sure, granted, see where we come from, but like the reason they're OP is because you can build so many of them so quickly. If you look at like the raw stats, there's actually not that much of a difference between them and HRE. HRE runs faster, HRE hits the same. The only difference is one with car range. So the extra movement speed and the discount cost compared to Yeoman, HRE archers are actually big. Which is why I kind of keep getting a smile on my face when I read all the nerf Yeoman comments, and I'm like, bro, where are the nerf HRE archers comments? It's funny as well because like HRE archers are very easily fixable. All they have to do is make it so that only melee units move faster for HRE. Makes sense. So anyway, this is a bit awkward now. MSN, he's waiting for the undermesh on the dive. But Vortex already got a +1 tech on the melee knights, and I imagine he's thinking Steel Arrow here with all the defenses. I feel like MSN has just kind of been sitting out here instead of just blocking the deer. I mean, he has stopped a decent amount of them coming home. Like, the full process is the ones in the front. That's why Vortex has been trying to play a little bit wider. We do have a counter raid. We're going to get much of that. Still, they're neck and neck on villager count. Get 10 minutes mathematically, this doesn't make sense. Vortex should be, what, 3 villagers ahead, I believe? Actually, 4? So, -3 seconds every minute. No, he should be like 2 villagers ahead. A3 archers can't delete half your army with money shot? Yeah, but money shot doesn't come in castle. And I'm going to like die on this hill. The issue with money shot is by the time you get it, the first use is so impactful in the game because your economy allows you to build so many. That's the thing. And no, MSN is 0 pro scouts, which is pretty impressive. I would have thought Rus would be going pro scouts here, but he wanted to force Vortex into a sticky situation, and he has. Now it's going to be a spinning switch. Wait, the MSN. Okay, isn't this where it becomes disadvantageous? He's not playing into archers, he's playing into spears. Because if you go into archers, you have the wood gen to push really fast. But now, like, your food gathering rates are going to be worse than your opponent's. I think that's worse. We're going to get towards the thing that makes French so dominant against Rus historically in, like, long fields. Chivalry. It just ticked in. All of a sudden, MSN's put in a pressure point where he actually needs to force a fight quite quickly. Or make a different choice, a greedy choice. Longer game is just worse for MSN? Oh, absolutely. Like, we've got Mass Knights scaling Mass Knights. But the difference is, if that continues, Vortex can go Royal Institute. And Rus only get a mini Royal Institute for a similar price via the Boys Fortitude, but 25 more health. 25 more health doesn't really match up compared to 18 more. Wow, KP does math. I think one big problem here for MSN as well is just keeping all the knights together, maybe? I mean, maybe... So, I believe MSN's capable of microing 2 groups of knights. Maybe his thought process here is like, in his own head, he's saying, well, Vortex can do that too. I mean, Vortex is one of the micro gods of AoE4. And as a result, he probably feels safer keeping the bulk. But I think you kind of have to go the other way, which is, yes, he might be a micro god, but the more aggressive openings I seek, the more opportunities for mistakes he can make. Now, MSN, I think, is maybe looking the other way, which is, well, I can make mistakes too. I could run my knights into their death. But what's the alternative, really, is the simple question I have for him. Because right now, it just doesn't feel like he's getting anything. He's only risking being gone. Ooh. I don't think those knights got seen. Which is quite important. I think we have got, yeah, Spearman moving out, so there will be a defense. I was about to say, moving 19 villages out without any protection is crazy. So in the end, it looks like Vortex definitely won on the deer game, as you would want to see from Pro Scouts. He gets his 2 deer stacks. He could still try to contest the one over here. He even went for early, but did get denied. 5 ants rent the flat, 5 other ants, now they're tenants. Oh, yeah, you found the right stream, you blocked Usually I'm the one bringing in those jokes. This spearman count on both sides is no joke though. It just feels like it's a nuclear deterrent. Neither of them really want to engage. I'm on early? Yeah, we went live a little bit early by an hour because we've got like a bunch of series to catch up on. Also, I got baited. I thought Lucifron series was today, so I was like, let's do this one, then do Lucifron. Like, oh, this series is tomorrow. Oops. Here we go. Knights are going to ride in. Spearmen are pretty much ignored. He gets 5 worker kills. You see that right there? That guy's not dead. He's sleeping. Good night. Oh, God. This is a fail for the Spearman defense, though. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, a few spears are going to be going down, but the Knights are laid in there trying to assist the defense. And Msn has a huge number advantage. You should be able to flex here. But the villagers just keep getting harassed. I mean, Vortex, this could go badly if Msn dives into the base now. But considering how much of the military is here, if Vortex just returns home, he should be able to scoop this. And now it's going to be bodies scooped into a wheelbarrow as 4 workers go down that tree line. Msn still coming out slightly worse for wear when it comes to eco exchange, but militarily, he's got to be feeling great about this. Vortex lost too many knights. He's now switching into archers. Well, archer switch like this is going to require quite a lot of pump. Double archer range. Can he support triple? He might need triple. Yeah, sure. Archers count spears, but there's 30 of them. Turns out small sticks shot at people don't always beat long sticks thrown at people or stabbed at people. Then about knight switch. Archer switch rather than knight v knight, but it's not really knight v knight anymore. It's knight mass spearman versus knights and a few spears. That's why he's making the switch. He feels he needs to answer the other. And also, if he thinks he's about to get attacked, he can hide in his base, and archers are actually MVP. Because melee units suck in base dives. It's actually quite smart because of pro scouts. He can do this. If this was a game where Vortex didn't have pro scouts, I'd agree. He has to go back to knights, and he's like losing the game. But because of the fact he can keep dragging resources back home for a decent margin of the game, it gives him that safety. Now, this is a long feudal. I like this, actually. I don't feel like we often get feudals lasting this long at the moment. Most people are just trying to skip out to castle again. So Vortex actually got a pretty good spawn, I think. This gold, it kind of seems bad because it's forward. He didn't get a flank gold. But in terms of like forward gold options, it's very tight against the edge of the map, so you can't be like 360 circled without being seen. Also, you can kind of create a really mischievous wall here between the gold vein and stone outcropping. Like, overall, not the worst gold vein to have. And after seeing these archers, look at what he's doing. He's up 6 more knights. Would this not have just been a great moment to go castle? And 6 knights, that implies a value of, what, over 1,200 resources? So 2/3 of your attack rush. In fairness, though, you know, maybe the paranoia setting in. He thinks Vortex is on a collision course towards his base. Swing defense is going to be good. Still a few more worker kills chipped in here or there, but honestly, a pretty even game. Props to Msn, actually, for how tight this looks. I mean, Vortex is no pushover. He's definitely no spring chicken. Meanwhile, Msn is a spring chicken, fresh out of the womb. You wouldn't believe it seeing what he's doing here. Are Templar Brothers better than Royal Knights in Castle Age? No. So, Templar Brothers cost 20 more resources. But Knights get cantled saddles. Or even without it, actually. Even without cantled saddles, you do an extra 9 damage in the first 5 seconds of combat. Now, the trade-off is that Templar Brothers get an extra 35 HP. So, I've already mitigated some of the like advantage you have on health with my extra damage. But then, like, I can just kind of cycle charge in. The other thing to keep in mind is, like, French are going to be scaling Knights before casting. And that's before we equate things such as Cantled Saddles, the tech that gives you plus 10 damage per strike for 5 seconds. That equates a 30 damage increase, which means if you charge in the first 5 seconds, you almost offset the Templar Brothers extra. If you then pull away and charge it again, it's key. I know someone's going to come at me with Templar Brothers Glory, where the more you charge, the damage they do, but that is very hard to scale. Looks like a very hard fight for Vortex to win. What on earth? The Knights, they do mostly get out, but this got so messy. Spearmen get fully surround. Msn with the A-click commitment. It's full melee blob, baby. Run away, but the archers, what I say, it's quick escape here. Let's try to hide at the choke point. Vortex, we've got huge miss macros here. 1,400 gold. It feels like you actually needed more people in the woods, so you could be setting up farms right now, but at this point, you're distracted. Damn. Okay, MSN is cooking right now. 14 knights compared to just 6. Vortex now to get back to spears again when he doesn't have food. He's gathering the berries in the backside, but after that, he's out. Nothing else to grab either, right? MSN's already moving the gear. He's also playing under the boar himself. It's crazy. Is this going to be a 2-0? I mean, he 1-0's Vortex in 10 minutes. We're 20 minutes in. The military lead doesn't seem to be there when you just look at the raw number, but when you think about the value of these armies. Vortex going even harder on archers. I wonder if he just looks for an out into castle here. It's dangerous because your opponent has so many knights. I said that, you know, usually archers are good defensively, but if you choose to go castle age, they'll die. And by going castle age, you basically stripped yourself of the ability to have like an extra 7 or 8 knights. You guys now counting wood in army value? I'm not sure. Someone else can do the raw math. I think it's vintage, but... And yes, our color palette is better because we optimized it so that it looks a little bit better, so everything pops. Which is why the colors are more vibrant here than on any other screen. And oh my god. Well, it's not vibrant enough that you can see the blood on the red here. That's a big hit. Are you kidding me? Vortex is tacking up while raiding and now finds himself 10 eco ahead. Oh my god. And the way he's playing this, there's no way MSN realizes. This is crazy. The Knights are going to get peeled on the west side, but they already made it worthwhile by getting those worker kills. He dives deep enough that MSN goes full defensive. Now, Royal Institute is definitely a little bit questionable when you've ran out of Knights, but the thought process here, I think, for Vortex is if he goes Guildhall, he's going to get dove and he'll be dead. So Royal Institute gives you some cheeky techs to try and hold on. These settings of colors are only on the stream? Yes. I modify the stream's colors. Well, there are ways that you can implement that on your local end. Usually, most graphics card control panels have some method of vibrancy. I'm pretty sure Radeon has it as well. I just never actually needed it. DLC Civ's getting permed every draft? No, I'd say Knights Templars make you through like 50% of the time. Maybe more. Really depends on whether someone bans Archipelago. If Archipelago isn't banned, then Knights Templar is. Okay, Vortex is very happy to leave this area. He already exploited the gold. But this is now very dangerous. MSN has the right idea. Instead of just mirroring Castle Age and being at disadvantage, he's going to try to starve Vortex out. It's going to be difficult now with the veterancy. It just kind of feels like MSN, when he went back to defend, it created so much space, so much time for the Spaniard. With the veterancy on archers coming in, can you actually commit anymore? The Knights begin to feel pretty squishy against vet archers. If this... Whoa, whoa, whoa. If you get a fight like this, though... He baits the spearman the wrong way. Knights now with the dive in. Veteran spears are catching up to those feudal knights. The few knights that the French have here are just going to stand their ground to try and muddy the fight a little and keep the veteran archers alive longer, but it's not going to be long enough. The knight count is just too damn big. We even have villagers with shivs out by mistake, and the spearmen are going to leak over onto the gold. Man, this is how I love to see AoE4 played. This man is relentless. You kind of have to be as well. You know that over time, French are building an eco that is undeniable. And now, something that has been denied, the gold. Now, Vortex, he's not dead, hung out to dry yet. Remember, he has already got a lot of the tech, so food, wood will serve him well here. He also has got relics coming in. This one's going to get denied, but one is already home. But the more important thing is he has got the wood line back up here, not to mention farms starting to get laid in, so that he can afford archer spears. And that would be good enough here if he can just get a bit of breathing room. Wow, Vortex is actually sacrificing to get the gold. What? Oh my god, MSN, he does the right thing. Like, you have to punish this. He's just standing there with gluttony on the mind. Shiv's out as well. Textile's at least making it harder to kill these villagers. That's crazy. Did he lose any? I think he lost 2. Maybe he actually won. Look at the eco. It's still a 10 villager lead. What? Unbelievable. And look at what happened to the Knights because of that. Vortex is not human, man. To sack your villagers like that, but then not even lose them is wild. The fact that there was 20 Knights before that fight, and now there's just 4. I think he's done it. I think he's stabilized. We're going to see Arbitrary coming out. Kind of interesting because your opponent has got like Knight Archer, but also very, very effective against Feudal Archers. Feudal Archers will do 1 damage. If it was Veteran Archers, they do a little bit of tickle when you police drop. But this is pretty smart. Like if MSN wants to keep committing, this pretty much just gives Vortex the most efficient unit to scale now. Especially when you consider things that Rus will do when they go cast stage. Like even Rus Horse Archers, you go for Beast Drop, you get crossbow stirrups. You're going to feel great. Abbasids is also another thing to consider here. It's going to keep a lot of options off the table, like Men at Arms. I think more vibrant means better. Not necessarily. It's all about finding a balance. But you might say it hurts your eyes, but the majority of people who have given feedback on it prefer it. We literally tested it like an optician's theater, going 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2. Wait, not that one. Not that one. The 1 or 2, 1 or 2. Still not sure about that one actually. The rest of the screen being altered is definitely. It's gonna have a break in. It's not exactly what I call the quickest break in. Vortex. I mean, I said he was going arbitrary, but he didn't get back on the gold again, so we've stopped at 1. Yeah, this castle drop is gonna be what target here. If he can get it close to the AK vein, this is huge. Because I don't think you want to be dropping it for just the free. You could technically justify it and build production around, but his production existing is too far away to benefit. The alternative is you kind of set it up over here where you think the breach is coming. But I think if you do that, MSN just goes to the other side of your base. Knock on the door time. 1 ram, very efficient to get through this. Reminder, rams do 500 damage to walls. So if you've already done a little bit of torch damage, they're going to do 2. Vortex. Got a lot of archers here. A handful of knights and spears. The spears, they're not going to be enough to hold on here. Can't step back. Remember what we said. Ranged is king when defending like this. And you're seeing why. The knights are now fully stuck in traffic. And it's a full you shall not pass. Yeah, the armor isn't even there, by the way. Vortex didn't even bother to get undermesh this game. Really? No undermesh. He's only now queuing it up. But it doesn't matter. The knights done what they needed to. They tanked long enough. MSN cannot win this dive. We are 30 minutes into this game, and we are still in feudal age for MSN. The Knights are pretty much gone. Behind this, MSN, how many farms are we going up to? Looks like it's going to be close to 30 when that build is complete. Okay, so that could give them the economy to start getting into castle, but my worry is, what's the defense against what's coming? Because now with this type of pushback, look at what Vortex done. He snuck the castle, he's gone on the gold. He can get whatever he wants now. And I think Knights is just kind of a given obvious for him here. All those techs waiting. Archers are melting Knights. Agincourt, baby. Wait, that's not right. Okay, I guess France learned. Damn. I bet MSN's thinking, if I was the one playing French, this strategy, this game would be over by now. Oh, and he gets the bad news about the castle. Okay, so MSN has forfeited the fact that this is not going to work anymore. He's going Castle Age. There's a counterattack to be had here for Vortex. I don't think he's going to realize it straight away. Like, we can see what the intent is. But from Vortex's POV, MSN was just here. He was just attacking. It's very likely that he could just double down again. Like, at this point, the madman has been barreling at you non-stop. We are going to have him moving up the high trade house. Get your numbers in, folks. This Castle Age is so late. I mean, this might be the first time I've seen this in like a year. That we actually have tier 3 bounty when the high trade house comes up. French learned the concept of heavy knights when they got invaded by the Arabs, or they didn't learn about the longbow. They did revitalize the use of heavy cavalry in war when most countries have moved away from it. Ah, yes, look, it's a plastic knight. Shivs out, boys. Tech up achieved. But look at the trade-off. Royal Bloodlines is now coming in. Vortex is going to blob knights. MSN is knee-deep in archers with no easy switch ahead of him. So many archers already max bounty and farms. There could be an argument for Abbey. Do you really want to give up 130 gold a minute? Oh, wait, it might be 129. We might actually have a perfect prediction in chat. We'll see in a sec. I mean, think about it. It's 1.5 relics just there. But as I always highlight to people, it's not even just 1.5 relics. Because you get a trickle of gold from the deer as well, you're actually getting about 2 relics. So you get an extra 35 gold per minute. There you go, 130 gold. Baltin, you spelt right wrong. Ayo. Ah, there's the dad joke. Well, the problem with going Abbey of Trinity here is, like, the relics are going to be gone. Your opponent has been in Castle Age for 10 minutes. The likelihood there's any relics left is super low. The unique techs are kind of intriguing, but I don't remember the last time I saw someone go Abbey of Trinity just for the techs. It used to be a very popular thing with, obviously, the Horse Archer meta, and Lucifron, I remember, was actually one of the best people at understanding the value of those extra techs, unique ones. Nightly Night Blob, the Archer count is 64? The problem is now you're scaling archers and your opponent is just bypassing to the next stage. Yeah, Vortex, macroing up. Probably a Red Palace drop just beyond the keep. Makes a lot of sense here. He's pretty much got a fallback defense if something goes wrong. A little bit dangerous is approaching the enemy base. We also have 2 TC on the flank, which makes even more sense now for the Red Palace. Yeah, because Red Palace is going to allow you to basically turn this thing into its own little castle. And okay, he actually goes a little bit more defensive than I was expecting. Doesn't want to take a risk approaching the base too much. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, come on. Sir, really? Oh, come on. That is just painful. The scout is millimeters away from revealing the play. I mean, I don't think he would be able to dive, but he could have at least started prepping trebuchets if he knew. We have still got flank attacks sneaking as well. Emerson's catching up stats and army? Yeah, but like he's militarily behind again. It's not just him that's been scaling farms, remember, throughout this. Like, Vortex is at 42 farms. MSN is sitting at 37. Obviously, has got the bounty system to make it better. But he's the only one being raided right now. Some of those farms mostly just got completely shutted. So I think he's going to try to cut the troops. Oh, this is a good fight for him. This is actually perfect. Veterancy is locked in. Elite Tech isn't there for number 40. He can wipe the archers. The good news for Vortex, that means you could just cancel and not waste the resources. Bad news is you're a full army down now. If MSN just builds, say, 2 rams and breaks the wall quickly, he could shut down all these farms. I wonder if he realizes that, though. But this is one of those tricky things where we can speculate on what the optimal thing would be to do because we see the full picture, but for MSN, he doesn't know what's waiting behind that wall. Okay. Honestly, at this stage, I think it might have been quicker just to continue shooting. At least use the rest of the archers. Oh, the classic select all and build ram. He's bringing in the knights as well, but the arbitrary is starting to bulk up. Did he rush his elite with the Did he get crossbow stirred? No. Okay, there's still hope. MSN is about to peak past 100 archers. No, like, we need 6 units to die, because then we can make some comment about him having 99 problems that archers ain't one. Oh, God. And the TC defense. This thing is toxic. Opposite placements inside. Veterancy for his own archers. Vortex did commit to it in the end. Didn't skip out, but the Heat Royal Knights with the 7 ranged armor. And Royal Bloodlines. It's a near tickle. Is he going to be held back by 7 knights? 100 archers versus 7 knights. Come on. Ain't no way this ship goes down like this. They are pretty much blocking everything. And there's the beast drop mixed in with the archers. Oh, that's actually pretty crafty. Keeping them together like this, it just means it's kind of weird when MSN goes into the Eclipse. This is a crazy defense. I mean, he should eventually get mopped up, but if MSN runs out of units as a result of it, Vortex is just miles ahead. Did have to abandon the police drops. So looks like the knights can be peeled back. They can go hunting onto the villages. We are starting to reach the TCs. This is going to be important for the Arbus defense. More knights just got queued up. 7 more, in fact. And remember that Arbus is going to be impactful against these knight raids. Getting hit up on the backside by the wolves as well. I don't know if MSN can stand here. He has got his tech up. So technically, he can look for the switch next. But what is the ideal switch here against Mass Royal Knights? Or else he's going to be slow. I think the problem with this type of dive for MSN is great. You got him, but what does this do? I guess you could argue you kept Vortex in his base while you tech, but you can't really kill that many villages. You haven't got the time for it. It's just too many archers, too many knights. Even if you did kill 10 villages, your opponent's free TC. And now you have to start thinking about a different thing that matters here, which is gold access. MSN's got 4k over here. The 8k has already been locked in the center. This one is up for grabs for either side. And it's 4 relics and a sacred site for Vortex. Like, he has so much gold income, which MSN doesn't. Oh my god, he's actually going to commit to the elite archers as well. Oh, I feel for him, man. It just kind of feels like he's got archer brain at this stage. Maybe been playing the Agincourt historical battle a bit too much. He's like, yeah, yes, archers beats mass knights. I saw players do it on YouTube to get world records. Very good. Well, looks like it's going to be Horseman's Win. I guess this is more necessity than desire. Because we mentioned his gold is kind of lacking. But the problem with Horseman here, guys... Why do you think he's building Horseman? Your instinct to say to counter the archers and arbitrary. Ah, you were correct on one of those. To counter archers, yes. To counter arbitrary... He's got 7 melee armor. It sometimes feels like an Omega lol to call this a counter. Charging him before MSN's even ready because he's only now getting veterancy calls. Oh. No, this actually might just be it. There's too many villagers on the front line here, and he can't hold. No, he's going to get surrounded, grinded, pounded down. Incineroar is about to come in. By the time it's going to be there, there's going to be, what, maybe 20 archers left over? Few Knights hold back all the Horseman wave, and he calls it. GG comes out. We're going to see a game 3. But Vortex at this stage has got to be sweating because this kiddo from Denmark keeps turning up. It comes down to this, folks. A deciding game between MSN and Vortex. MSN, who has played his heart out here in the midweek muster, up against the Spaniard. Well, he's going to have to reach deep and rip Vortex's heart out in this one because we've got Lipany, Byzantines versus Ayyubids, a matchup that I feel like Byzantines just have a clean edge in. You know, Ayyubids, there's a lot of things they cannot do. Playing long feudal feels bad because Desert Raiders don't really feel wieldable against Byzantines. One thing that is going to be fortunate for him, the Lipany spawns have not put the trade post behind the TC. So there isn't the potential for something like a Sipahi that could just ruin the game immediately for MSN. I really like high saturation. I mean, we're not at high saturation. I understood it from the minimap, which is why we changed it, but I think this type of saturation makes a lot of sense. It just makes the colors pop from each other more. And, yes, thank you. Map name needs to be changed. We are on Lipany. We're using a new system, that's why, so it requires certain manual inputs for that stuff. I wonder, would he dare? No. Right? Like, you don't do camels here. I've seen one person do it on this map in this weekly already. Remember, the camels are different now. The camel traders from Tradewing Bazaar, with both the Ayyubids and the Abbasids, they got changed to be camel traders. But no, okay. Wait, really? Uh-oh. Wait, Mahodo, weren't you the one that done the Tradewing Bazaar? Trying to remember. This is... So, let's explain the problem with military wing reinforcement law here. There are 3 mercenary options you can go for as Byzantines. 2 of them counter Desert Raiders. Longbows counter Desert Raiders. Javelins most definitely counter Desert Raiders. The Javelin's like the hardest counter you can imagine. And Byzantines have access to both of them. There's not really a world in which I'd ever expect Byzantines to go Keshiks because camels. So what's MSN's thought process here? It could be that he's thinking fast castle behind this and he forces a reaction. It also could be this new system build we're seeing requires you to consistently be outstone. For those who don't know, the way you play Byzantines changed a little bit on your build order opening. You actually benefit from going for a rapid mining camp to rush systems. And it's worth keeping the people here because you can actually ramp up to level 4, level 5 system very fast because it's cheaper. Once you've done 3 systems, the additional ones are actually cheaper. Yeah, like honestly, I get what they were trying to envision with the system change. And I mentioned it was going to be a big flip up because it kind of screws with your first mercenary timing. But the second mercenary timing has actually ended up being quicker with this new build. Like, in a weird way, I don't know if I'd call this a buff, but it doesn't feel like a nerf. Because the other thing is, you know, you might say, oh, but KP, he's spending 125 stone per, and then he's wasting time building them and moving around to build them. And sure, you could argue it keeps the person out of the map a bit more, but what are you getting for that 125 resources and time built? You're scaling your whole economy. That's worth it. And that scales very nicely going into the 20, 30, 40, 50 village mark. It actually gets better as it gets slightly more. So, Grand Winery is going to be dropped. We do not have a reach on the second, of course. But the berries are close enough that we'll probably see a level 3 system moving out here before too long. Okay, sorry. 1 back here first because 2 on stone. And then 4th can come to here. There's even a 5th one over here that's pretty sick on the deer and the berry. So this is a really good spawn for Vortex. It's all quite condensed, smushed in one location. MSN, it is fast castle. Yeah, he's even actually worried about him being attacked. He went for outpost. I'm never sure how I feel about outpost plus military wing. Because the tricky part here, folks, is if you're doing a military wing and you're doing an outpost, wasn't the point in the military wing that it protected you? So if you have to build an outpost still, then you aren't like your wing has failed to do its duty. You could argue this lets you raid as well, and we are going to see a little bit of that. Vortex is going to kill up the Limitane. He has got Akratoy defense if he wants to. Yeah, he has activated it. Yes, even the melee doesn't feel that encourageable. And the first Limitana comes out. Okay, so this should be enough to deter MSN. He will eventually kill this Limitane, but for Vortex, this is just the price of admission. You know when the Mongols come by in that Rus campaign, if you guys have played it? It's like, you must pay us bounty or we murder you. Same thing, only we pay the price in blood alone. But this is fine. I mean, for Vortex, it creates the space. Having Limitane isn't a bad sign anyway against Ayyubids. For MSN, this does offer up an opportunity. And I'm wondering if he's going to trigger it. Because Racks would make a lot of sense here. Golems. Your opponent has just shown you Limitane. You don't really want to build into camels. He could think about going archers. And he is going to be going eco growth. So nothing changed there. Yeah, we're not really seeing any eco wing industry, sadly. Okay, guys, I think there is going to be like a dirty build someone's going to try. Hear me out. So for those who don't know, the eco wing industry got changed so that it increases build speed for villages. 30% feudal, 40% in castle, and I believe 50% in imperial. I think someone's going to concoct a play where you go growth wing, you fast castle eco wing, you start gathering stone, and then once you've got the 500, you walk over to the enemy base. So that as the tech up completes, you have 900 stone for a keep roll. Is Faye in chat right now? I just need to make sure that high-level ladder games are safe. Because she probably is taking notes otherwise. Budget White Tower Rush? Yeah. But, like, it's better than White Tower Rush because you can actually build it in time. 50% build speed, or 40% rather, is pretty crazy. So, Javelins came out, like we talked about. The problem with this now, and this is why I think Byzantines is one of Ayyubid's hardest counters, is your Desert Raiders get destroyed by Javelins. Remember, this is a low HP unit, high melee, no ranged armor, and this unit gets bonus against it. The other issue is now when you go Castle Age and do this, Stables, if Vortex now rushes Castle Age himself, he can get Camel Riders. And guys, like, little tip for you in case you didn't know, Camel Riders destroy Camel Lancers. Oh, sorry, not growth in industry. Yeah, you're right. My brain is being dumb. You go... What would be the more benefit? Ooh. No, you know what? I kind of like this more. So we talked about the industry. I think you go logistics industry wing, because then your villagers can't die easily when you rush the keep. Or you do trade wing bazaar, but that's going to probably keep you in field longer. No, you are correct. I was like, look, I'm thinking about the castle part, and I was like filling in the optimal thing for feudal. But yes, you can't do growth and industry. You could even do like military wing. I just don't know if you want to, because that would encourage your enemy to build units. Speaking of units, Vortex has done something unexpected here. I thought he was just going to go Castle Age. He's going in. This is such a Vortex thing. Hero Siphon built. Desert Raiders in the meantime are being a little bit of a nuisance. That's going to out of the economy. Vortex is going to return the favor. I mean, this is what we were talking about though. Like the Golem play would have made a lot of sense for MSN right now. It doesn't have them. He dropped stables and then triple archer range. Time for us again. See, here's the thing, guys. If you win Golems, he's got enough food to pump out 6, 7, 8 Golems. And you'll get kited, but your opponent can't stop your economy then. And indeed, 3 golds on one side, good eyeballs. I think this is why Vortex made the choice to go all in instead of just teching. It's really smart. No real harassment being done on the other side. 1-2 Limitana, just keeping that away. MSN just looks kind of stuck. He can blob archers. If he can get enough of them, then it can be good for him. Like, Javelin should be able to kind of beat you on low count, but vet archers on blob, really good. One problem I do see for MSN this game, no gold equal no blacksmith. So Vortex just rushes the extra things like Undermesh here. It's actually going to be surprisingly tanky for a field army. Yeah, he doesn't want to go in. I think he just wants to kind of camp on these golds. Why is MSN doing lances but no golems? So I don't think MSN thought he was going to be dove. I think what MSN was expecting here is he'd tech and then Vortex would reactionary tech. That makes lances more sensible because you can run across and flank raid. Golems usually struggle on these type of builds when you have to dive the enemy side because they're really, really slow. But Golems for defense are phenomenal. So if you're against an all-in opponent, Golems is actually quite preferable because it's limited gold spend and very hard to kill units. So I think a thought process on why MSN went stables makes sense. In his brain, what Vortex done didn't make sense at the time. Now Vortex is going to back all the way up. I guess he saw the archers and knows that with enough bulk he'll lose the mass, so takes the safety net, moves up. Remember, he does have level 5 systems, so at this stage, he's pretty cozy. 26 buffer to his economy, so he's almost got an extra 10% villages. 10 villages, rather. So, like, he's mathematically not ahead. There is the gathering rate of Ayyubids to consider. But despite the growth wing and how far ahead of him put you, it doesn't really feel like that. This is the sad thing about these type of spawns, by the way, because someone mentioned gold, someone mentioned berries. Sometimes this is a good thing. When you can access it, it feels great. It's the double-edged sword of, say, a Malian player getting 3 golds together. Like, oh, great, I don't have to like go far to defend. Yeah, but if you start losing, you lose bigger. If you're winning, you win bigger. So, looking for a big win in a fight, but the problem I see here, folks, is Dialectics. In fact, he's already got a cube. So this is huge. 24 seconds for veterancy. I don't think MSN's going to get much breathing room for a dive here. And Vortex is intentionally gathering enough gold to optimize for that double pump. Yeah, veterancy, only 125 gold. Honestly, I still do not know why veterancy is so cheap on gold. It's kind of crazy. And look at that. 12 seconds to get that upgrade. MSN arrives in the base just in time to realize he cannot. Just a few seconds out for the Limitane upgrade as well. It's actually kind of ridiculous. 12. Alright, ones if you think this new Byzantine build, as in the system change, is a buff. 2s if you think it's a nerf. The more I see a Byzantines, the more I'm not convinced this has been a nerf. At all. You might be able to argue it's like a change, not buff or nerf. I still think it's slightly positive. Because when you math it out, like once you're up at 5 systems, you know, you spent less stone to get there than with the old build. Because the old build was 50, 100, 150, that's 300, and then 200 up to 500, and then 250, 750. The new build is a raw 125 times 6. So you end up spending 650. It's cheaper. It's actually cheaper. And then on top of that, this new version gives you more capacity to expand. Because you're not now spending more stone and more stone and more stone per system. It also has the added benefit of allowing you to afford production. So what you'll start seeing Byzantine players do now in the meta as it develops, they'll build proxy bases and build a system there. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So villager raid coming in. He's going to force the defense. He's going after the blacksmith. He's a little bit paranoid about Steeled Arrow coming in. Level 2 would be a big deal against the Limitane and Jabs. MSN, his army doesn't look like a big deal. He's only got 5 Camel Lancers here. Limitane are just going to charge in. Love the time on that. The blacksmith goes down, so it just opens the spread for more melee to go in. Rangian being queued up behind this. Yeah, remember, every time MSN approaches but doesn't commit is a better fight for Vortex due to the range advantage. You see, he's actually just squaring up ahead of time to try and draw fire. The housing situation start to go bad to worse. MSN, they're just getting blazed so quickly. Siphons. So efficient. And I feel bad for him. I mean, props to Vortex for the reverse, the comeback, but MSN. He put up such a good fight, game 1, game 2. Game 3, though, kind of felt a bit futile. Vortex just a step ahead. We're going to get the wall walls coming out. Let's go by a little bit of time. The Camel Lancers do go in, but it's like overcommitment there. Overstaying their welcome. Maybe he can actually clear this quicker. No. Okay, we're down to 3 Camel Lancers. This might be a problem now. Yeah, because if it was 5 or 6, he could start wearing through the javelins, but they're just training so well right now. That military lead that MSN had for a moment there is completely evaporated. Village is going to be pulled for the hero siphons. The remaining Limitane are going to pull back. Javelins are going to dive deeper. The problem you have here as MSN is your A clicking is less efficient than Vortex's, so there's more micro required. Which means that Vortex can focus on other things, other bigger wins, while still potentially win the fight. And with the Camel Riders now arriving to clear up the last of those camels, the true Camel King are going to be the Greeks.